A 0-0 score in soccer often carries the assumption that the match was a stalemate in every sense of the word, 90 minutes of wasted time and sideways passing. But at the 2026 World Cup in Miami, that empty scoreboard was the result of two teams playing at the limit of their physical capabilities. Colombia and Portugal entered this match with squads designed specifically for high-volume scoring. Statistically, a scoreless finish was the least likely outcome. Portugal brought a roster of veteran finishers, led by a captain who has spent 2 decades proving he can manufacture goals out of any situation. They were backed by playmakers like Bruno Fernandes, whose vision allows him to spot passing lanes that most defenders don't even realize are open. Adding to that pressure was João Félix, a player who specializes in exploiting the smallest gaps in a backline. On the other side, James Rodriguez controlled the Colombian midfield, using his experience to dictate the tempo and pull the Portuguese defense apart. With this much talent on the field, the scoreboard remained static only because every single touch was contested with world-class precision. The intensity of the game was established the moment Alireza Fagani blew the starting whistle. Colombia ignored the standard period of feeling out their opponent. They skipped the slow build-up and launched an immediate high-press ambush. This aggressive strategy centered on forcing errors. Luis Diaz led the charge, applying constant physical pressure and testing the Portuguese goalkeeper within the first few minutes of play. By forcing the play so early, the Colombian midfield successfully disrupted Portugal's rhythm, making their veteran defenders look uncharacteristically hesitant. This relentless opening pace set a baseline of tension that stayed at a breaking point for the rest of the night. In elite soccer, momentum is rarely permanent. A top-tier team is defined by its ability to absorb an initial shock and systematically reclaim control of the pitch. This shift is visible as Portugal's territorial control migrates deep into the Colombian half. They effectively moved the entire battle 30 yards up the field. With that territorial advantage, the shots began to fly. Felix, Fernandes, and Ronaldo coordinated a barrage of attacks that forced the defense to scramble. Camilo Vargas became the deciding factor during this siege. The Colombian keeper solved every tactical problem Portugal threw at him, recording a series of saves that kept the match level. In the stands, the anticipation became visible. Thousands of fans watched as world-class offensive plays were repeatedly neutralized by a single man in the goal. Holding a clean sheet under that much sustained pressure required 90 minutes of perfect positioning. There was no room for even a momentary lapse in concentration. As the clock ran down, fatigue began to set in. The rigid tactical structures dissolved, turning the match into a series of unpredictable end-to-end sprints. The game became frantic. Diogo Costa had to stay alert, as Colombia forced saves at one end, only for Portugal to immediately counterattack down the far post at the other. Then came the break. Quintero sent a perfectly weighted ball toward the far post, finally finding the back of the net in the closing minutes. The stadium erupted. For a few seconds, the stalemate appeared to be broken by a moment of individual brilliance. But the euphoria was short-lived. A VAR check spotted an infringement, and the goal was struck from the record. Snapping that sudden release of tension back to zero in an instant provided a level of drama rarely seen in high-scoring games. When the final whistle blew, the scoreboard looked exactly as it had at the start of the night. But the volume of physical exertion and tactical complexity required to keep that score at 0 was staggering. The weight of the match lived in the agonizing near misses and the sustained tension of two squads refusing to give an inch for 90 minutes. Both teams earned a point, surviving a high-stakes encounter that kept their World Cup ambitions alive. When elite attacking power meets equivalent defensive willpower, the empty scoreboard reflects a game played at the highest possible level of the sport.